Hi, my name is Blaine,
My name is Jonathan.
and welcome to this episode of Textbook Technique, a comprehensive guide to ballet training.
In this episode, Blaine and I are going to give you a brief history of ballet.
Starting from the very beginning up into where it is today.
Ballet originated in the Italian Renaissance courts of the 15th century. Noblemen and women were treated to lavish events, especially wedding celebrations, where dancing and music created an elaborate spectacle. Dancing masters taught the steps to the nobility, and the courts participated in the performances. In the 16th century, Catherine de' Medici, an Italian noblewoman, wife of King Henry II of France and a great patron of the arts, began to fund ballet in the French court. Her elaborate festivals encouraged the growth of Ballet de la Cour, a program that included dance, decor, costume, song, music, and poetry. A century later, King Louis XIV helped to popularize and standardize the art form. A passionate dancer, he danced many roles himself, including that of the Sun King in Ballet de Nuit. His love of the ballet fostered its elevation from a pastime for amateurs to an endeavor requiring professional training. By 1661, a dance academy had opened in Paris, and in 1681, ballet moved from the courts to the stage. The French opera Le Triomphe de l'Amour incorporated ballet elements in its performance, creating a long-standing opera-ballet tradition in France. By the mid-1700s, French ballet master Jean-Georges Navarre rebelled against the artifice of opera ballet, believing that ballet could stand on its own as an art form. His notions, that ballet contained expressive, dramatic movement and that movement should reveal the relationship between the characters, introduced ballet d'action, a dramatic style of ballet that conveys a narrative. Navarre's work is considered the precursor to narrative ballets of the 19th century. Early classical ballets, such as Giselle and La Sylphide, were created during the Romantic movement in the first half of the 19th century. This movement influenced art, music, and ballet. It was concerned with the supernatural world of spirits and magic, and often showed women as passive and fragile. These themes are reflected in the ballets of the time and are called Romantic ballets. This is also the period of time when dancing on the tips of the toes, known as point work, became the norm for the ballerina. The Romantic tutu, a calf-length full skirt made of tulle, was introduced. The popularity of ballet soared in Russia, and during the latter half of the 19th century, Russian choreographers and composers took it to new heights. Marius Petipa's The Nutcracker, The Sleeping Beauty, and Swan Lake by Petipa and Lev Ivanov represented classical ballet in its grandest form. The main purpose was to display classical technique, point work, high extensions, precision of movement and turnout, the outward rotation of the legs from the hip, to the fullest. Complicated sequences that showed off demanding steps, leaps, and turns were choreographed into the stories. These are called variations. The classical tutu, much shorter and stiffer than the Romantic tutu, was introduced at this time to reveal the ballerina's legs and the difficulty of her movements and footwork. In the earliest part of the 20th century, Russian choreographers Sergei Diaghilev and Michael Fokine began to experiment with the movement and costume, moving beyond the confines of classical ballet form and story. Diaghilev collaborated with composers Igor Stravinsky on the ballet The Rite of Spring, a work so different with its dissonant music, its story of human sacrifice, and its unfamiliar movement that it caused the audience to riot. Choreographer and New York City Ballet founder George Balanchine, a Russian who migrated to America, would change ballet even further. He introduced what is now known as neoclassical ballet, a form that expands the classical platform. He also is considered by many the greatest innovator of the contemporary plotless ballet. With no definite storyline, its purpose is to use movement to express music and illuminate the human emotion and endeavor. Today, ballet is multifaceted. Classical forms, traditional stories, and contemporary choreographic innovations intertwine to produce the character of modern ballet.
Thanks for watching this episode of Textbook Technique. We hope you kind of understand the history of ballet now that we've explained it.